The best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago. The second best is now. Looking back, we may find that many of the things we take for granted now were planted in the past. Let's travel back to 2012. At that time, Wang Yaping was in her early 30s. At this age, to lead a stable life seemed to be an easy option, but she chose a completely different life. As part of training for her to become an astronaut, she took spins in a high-speed centrifuge and couldn't contain her tears time and again. That night, Lin Ming almost did not sleep at all. The island and tunnel section of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge encountered a bottleneck. As the project's chief engineer, he tossed and turned and suddenly got an inspirational spark. He tested his colleagues in the early morning. Let's try a semi-rigid structure. Ziluo, member of a climbing team, also stayed awake for the whole night. Early in the morning, he rushed to a camp at an altitude of 8,300 meters, ready to climb up at any time to come to his teammates' aid who were climbing down after summiting Mount Everest. This was a climb outside the spotlight. Climbing is one person's journey, but also a team effort. The couple Wang Jicai and Wang Shihua is also a team. They have been guarding Kaishan Island for 26 years. Every morning, Wang Jicai would wake his wife up and saying, "Wang Shihua, time to raise the national flag." Early this morning, a national flag that once flew in Tiananmen Square was raised on the island. The couple was very happy. Xu Ying was also very happy. This year, he became one of the first batch of pilots for aircraft carriers in China. Does the popular gesture, "Here you go," ring a bell? At that time, Zhang Guimei was still walking on her way to home visits to her students' families. She was trying to get more girls who had dropped out of school to return to the classroom. In the river valley, she slept and fell. Despite the pain, she kept on going. It was only after a physical examination that she found her 7th and 8th ribs cracked. Chen Xiangrong was in elementary school. At that time, his parents were working in Hainan province and he lived with his grandmother and sister. This year, Huang Wenxiu was studying in Changzhi College. In addition to taking classes, what took up all her time was heading to the library with heavy books to prepare for the entrance exam for graduate studies. At the same time, in a high school within 5 kilometers, a girl named Song Shi was about to enter Peking University. This year, Du Fuguo was a demining soldier of the POA in the border area. The Fast 973 project, guided by Nan Rendong, was officially launched. Liu Chuanjian put the flight crew operations manual at his bedside to read before sleep. Mao Xiangling was still mulling how to widen and harden the sky road, and Rang Guanghui was working as a porter, carrying goods up and down on the steps of Chongqing. Everyone is on their own track. Some are getting closer to their goals, some are trudging along, and some are just trying to do well on ordinary days. In 2013, 19-year-old Zhu Ting was granted special admission into the national team by Lang Ping, but she was underperforming. Even her former coach was not optimistic that she could stay. Zhu Ting refused to give up. At that time, the Chinese women's volleyball team had been in a slump for several years, but all on the team refused to give up hope. Gao Jian, a 19-year-old boy also from Henan, was watching television after the college entrance exams. Shen Zhoutan, carrying Wang Yaping and 2 other astronauts, landed in the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. Deeply interested in aviation, Gao felt proud yet bitter, for he had just lost the chance to enter his ideal university. At this time, Sui Wenjing and Han Cong had come to prominence, but suddenly suffered a low point. in order to fight for the qualification for participate in the Sochi Winter Olympics. Sui Wenjing, with torn ligaments in both feet, bore the pain of doing throw jumps again and again. Successive mistakes left her in tears, and she struggled to get up. Despite many doubts and even ridicule from foreign experts, Lingming still believed in the semi-rigid structure. This year, the installation of the 33 immersed tubes of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge finally began. At the end of the year, Lingming fell ill and underwent 2 operations under general anesthesia over 4 days. On the 7th day after the operations, he went straight to the construction site wrapped in a blanket. On the last day of the year, the sun shone brightly at the construction site of FAST project in Dawodang. The rain beams were slowly lifted piece by piece and successfully connected together. The China Sky Eye took shape. Nan Rendong, who has been working for this moment for nearly 20 years, could not resist climbing onto the rain beam and running around, as happy as a child.
将来欢迎你们到建成之后，2016年9月呢，到这个建成的望远镜来看一眼。
On the same day, an official of the Wuhan Municipal Health and Family Planning Commission suddenly called Zhang Dingyu and asked him to come in the afternoon. He learned he was being transferred to Jinyintan Hospital. After New Year's Day of 2014, he reported for duty at the hospital. He told his colleagues, "I'm here to work, not to celebrate New Year's Eve." At that time, Zhang Dingyu would not have expected that 6 years later, Jinyintan Hospital would become the eye of the storm of a pandemic. Though suffering from amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, he walked with a limp, yet led his team combating the fierce battle against COVID-19. Now, knowing the outcome, we look back again and realize that the path of time is hard to detect. A seemingly ordinary day may be the key to a turn of destiny, or a seed sowed silently by time. In 2014, Wang Youdi, a desert fighter, retired. He spent half of his lifetime building a green barrier against the Muas Desert. The barren beach at the east of Incheon Hedong Airport became his new battlefield. It turns out that some moments that look like a period are in fact a coma. The tropical rainforest of Jakarta, Indonesia, is the battlefield for Xia Jian. In 2015, he was 33, eager to get the first order for constructing a high-speed railway overseas for China. He was enduring the scorching summer heat while shuttling through the rainforest to do geological surveys. This year marks Du Fuguo's 5th year in the army. He applied to join the 3rd large-scale demining mission on the China-Vietnam border. After his application was approved, he changed his WeChat nickname to the Demining Guard. Zhang Zixuan, a flag raiser in the National Flag Guard at Tiananmen Square, also was in his 5th year in the army. In this year, a boy named Zhang Wei was impressed by Zhang Zixuan's spirited posture when raising the flag. He began to dream of becoming a flag raiser. On the National Day of this year, Huang Wenxiu and her father also came to the Tiananmen Square. Huang Wenxiu, who was studying at Beijing Normal University, used the money she earned through work-study to help her father realize his dream of seeing Tiananmen Square in person. As she wondered how much she would earn if she stayed in Beijing, her dad told her, "We don't need to make big money. There are many places back home that still need educated people like you to help." In 2016, Huang returned to Baice, her hometown. Atulia village in southwest China is also home to many people. Before 2016, few people knew about it, but after that, it gained a nickname better known to all, the Cliffside Village. Chen Bear, a Hong Kong TV hostess, became popular broadcasting during the 2016 Olympic Games. Years later, she formed a connection with the cliffside village through the documentary No Poverty Land and gained popularity with mainland audiences. At the 2016 Olympics, Zhu Ting, with her teammates of the Chinese women's volleyball team coached by Lang Ping, won the Olympic championship for the first time in 12 years. She spoke with Chen Bear during a visit to Hong Kong. Ran Guanghui also won a medal of sorts this year. His family finally made a down payment on a 60 square meter flat in Chongqing. His wife said this flat was earned by him on his shoulders of his hard labor. People's lives are interwoven with the interplay of contingency and inevitability. The times are advancing, and those who used to work in obscurity are gradually being pushed into the spotlight. More than a month after the 2016 Olympic Games, Nan Rendong, despite his illness, took a flight to Guizhou province to witness the construction of China's Sky Eye. All went as expected while his life entered its final countdown. Shortly after his death in 2017, the China Sky Eye discovered a pulsar for the first time. Do you still remember Xu Ying, the carrier-based fighter pilot mentioned before? He was about to perform a nighttime takeoff and landing mission for the first time and feared that every phone call with his family would be the last in his life. In the end, in a fighter flying out of the darkness and landing on the carrier, he successfully completed the task. The warrior on the flying shark conquered the night. Also this year, Song Xi, a graduate from Peking University, witnessed how her comrades in arms rescued hostages from pirates as the sole woman in the Special Operations Team. On the last day of this year, lights illuminated the entire Hong Kong Zhuhai-Macau Bridge. The next day, the early morning of the New Year's Day, Ling Ming ran from the beginning of the bridge to the boundary of administration between Hong Kong and Guangdong, covering a distance of 29.81 kilometers in 3 hours and 4 minutes. This era is marked by sowing, blooming, and harvest at all times. Lives full of ups and downs are footnotes of the times, dotting the long journey with victories, but tears are shed at times. In 2019, 18-year-old Chen Xiangrong realized his dream of becoming a soldier. The night before enlisting, his family held a send-off for him and took photos with him with pride. Shortly after enrollment, he wrote in his diary, "The purest piece of my heart is reserved for my country." Chen sacrificed his life for peace in the border area the next year, and these words have reverberated nationwide. Luo, who backed up his team climbing Mount Everest in 2012, in 2020 was once again on his way to climbing Mount Everest. As the captain, Ci, leading his teammates, successfully reached the highest peak on Earth and remeasured the height of the peak at 8,848.86 meters. Wang Yaping, who went into space in 2013, embarked on another journey into space in 2021 with her new identity, a mom reaching for the stars. After a 6-month business trip to space, she returned to Earth in April. Still remember Gao Jian, who could only witness history on TV in 2013. He eventually majored in aerospace and became one of the general dispatchers of Shenzhou 13's return trip, who said, "This is Beijing, copy that." Something you sow in your mind will blossom someday. Look at Zhang Zixuan, a national flag guard at Tiananmen Square, who raised the national flag high in the sky at the ceremony marking the centenary of the Communist Party of China. Zhang Wei has become his apprentice. This year, on China's National Day, Zhang Wei raised the flag for the first time, witnessed by an audience of more than 200,000. 10 years are a long time, but they can also be short. History marches, step by step, towards us. It's hard to say whether these steps make the world better or otherwise, but almost all those favored by fate have impressed us by seizing the opportunities of the times with a strong will and refusing mediocrity with a noble personality. There has never been a waste of effort or a success with sudden luck. All the so-called coincidences will appear when conditions are ripe.
在你遭遇险阻、孤单无助的时候，我愿俯身做你迈向荣耀的那座桥。
我来说，走了一辈子的路，但是我感觉到高兴。我高兴的是什么？我高兴的想着老百姓过上了美好的生活。
身后的这种器官捐献的事情，我觉得还是这个肯定这个动作还是非常有意义的。
念没有前面？喊你慢一点，我念不上。
Time gives the answer, and this is the 10 years unknown to you. Great times have created the conditions for these extraordinary lives, and these lives struggle to live up to the expectations of the times. Over the past 10 years, some dreams have become reality, and some dreamers are seeking breakthroughs. Over the past 10 years, some people have set off, some waved goodbye, and a lot more are still on the way. The eternal great cause of our country is achieved by ordinary people. Life lies in forging ahead. Let's keep on moving with the stream of times. And don't forget to sow the seeds, as the best time to plant the tree was a decade ago, followed by now.